I am a barista, but I don't drink coffee.
Is that the people that you look up to, if you, through a combination of luck and hard work, and you put out content that gets the same amount of attention, those people can become your peers through effort and through a little bit of luck as well.
When you applied for MCC Rising 2, only 3 of you reapplied.
Yes.
Can we know this story? Because it is something that I'm really curious about the missing 4th person.
And then the week of my birthday in 2020, that video went from 10,000 views to over 1 million in the span of 1 week. And everything changed. Like, you go to Twitter and search any game, and it's going to be 90% negative tweets because people only go to Twitter to complain. All right, I'm out. Thank you. It's been fun. Wonderful. I will talk to you later.
It's just walked off. Alright lads, welcome back to Inside MC, the part of the podcast where I sit down with a very amazing guest every single week. And today I am joined with someone who has been planned to come on the podcast for a while, as far as I'm aware as a podcast listener, and someone who I'm very excited to come on. It's the amazing, none other, I'm really butchering this intro, it's Legundo.
Amazing really sets the bar very high. I'm not used to high expectations.
But I mean, I couldn't, like, there's so many different words to describe you, Legundo. So many better words than amazing. I just defaulted to that.
The moderately above average Legundo. I'll go with that. We'll keep the bar low. That way I can surprise people.
Fair enough. I mean, if that's what you prefer, it's up to you. So how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, thank you. I mean, we were meant to start recording the podcast a while ago, but somebody delayed it.
Look, okay, when you have uninvited guests living in your attic, you deal with that problem immediately, okay?
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah.
And I'm not going to give any context. I'm going to let the podcast listeners just be like, what is he going on about? And it's for them to figure out. We're not going to tell them. You get to know, but they don't get to know.
Exactly. And that's why the podcast is amazing for me anyways, because I get to hear all the inside scoop, all the little things behind the scenes.
All the hot gossip.
And you, the viewer, have no clue what we've just waffled about. With that being said, though, with the whole uninvited guests, you were invited on the podcast. You are someone who is here because I want you here and because you want to be here. You're someone who I actually wanted. Like I mentioned, I did actually want you on the podcast for quite a while, ever since I knew who you were, and it was quite fortunate because you were following the podcast account. I was, which is pretty crazy. I was like scrolling through and I was like, oh, Legundo, and I clicked on. I was like, Legundo follows me, follows the podcast, huh? And then I shot you a Twitter DM, and then it's been a long time coming. You were very booked in advance. I have an awful habit of doing that. I'm booked in until the start of November, and we are recording right now on the 2nd of October. So awful habit, but it's a good problem.
Genuinely though, that's better. I at least for me, right? The fact that you and I were able to say, look, October 3rd, X time, we're talking then, that's fine. My life, the way my stuff all goes, where people are like, hey, we're gonna record in 20 minutes. Are you free for the next 4 hours? I just can't do that. Yeah, so honestly, this kind of worked for me a little bit better. So it was totally cool. That's fine.
I mean, it's kind of like I was mentioning to you before the podcast as well. It's like I book it so far in advance, but then when stuff happens, like last night, I will give a bit of context to this. I was just up until about 12 o'clock last night, messing with my editing app because things just went wrong while editing midweek MC, and then I ended up being up until 12 o'clock. I had to wake up at 5 a.m. this morning for work. I then had to go and do a full day's of work until 3 p.m. It's now 5 p.m. and we're recording. So, but I mean, my energy levels are there. I'm drinking a Boost energy drink, so it's helping quite a bit,
Nice.
But yeah, before we get into the main podcast then, Legundo, I always like to give the intro for you to, I mean, I've introduced you as amazing, you introduce yourself as above average, but like as a better intro, if you'd like to let the viewers know who you are, what you do, for anyone who's listening but doesn't know who you are.
For sure. So real quick before I give the intro, just so you know, pronunciation is Legundo.
Oh my god, I've been saying it on this entire time.
You're totally fine. You've
let me,
you don't even need to put this in. You don't even need to put this in. You can cut this out. It's totally good.
No, I'll keep it so everyone knows.
Oh no, now I'm going to sound pretentious. No.
Okay, I'll cut. You've let me say everyone the entire time.
You can do it either way. You can do people say it wrong all the time because it's a completely made up word, and I'm totally fine with people saying that. So that's fine.
I'll just voice over my entire intro by saying Legundo, change it to
You don't have to. No. And you now you have to leave this in too. Now leave this in so people are like, what is going on?
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
Okay, right. Legundo.
Legundo.
Okay,
yes.
cool. Well,
which is
Legundo.
I'll start there. It's a fake made-up word for legend in Spanish, but masculine. In Spanish, it's legenda, which is feminine. And I'm like, I needed a new screen name. I wanted to drop the digits and just have a word. And I wanted it something that I knew I could get everywhere. So I made a word up. I mean, all words are made up, but this one is made up by me. So that works. That works out. But yes, my name is Legundo. I'm a Minecraft content creator. I've been doing this for 20 years, I think, at this point. It's been a while. I found a lot of success in 2020 doing 100 days content and a lot of kind of long movie style stuff since then. And I've been on and off with full-time content creation for about 2 years now, about over a full year at this point, and making stuff. I don't know what else to go with. I'm old. I'm old for the space. I'm 35 as of a couple weeks
That's
ago.
not
I'm a father of
bad.
2. It's old for YouTube. It's old for
Not
YouTube, and
really.
I know it, and that's okay.
I mean-
But it allows me to have a different perspective on things, so it kind of works out.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, I mean, you say that, but the Sidemen, if you know who the Sidemen, they're all in their 30s now, which is crazy to think about. Because I've been watching them for like 7-8 years.
No, it is. Perspective is weird, right? Because I'll see stuff where I'm like aspirational to what they are doing, and they're 10 years my junior, and it's just they're making something that I think is very cool, and they have a different perspective on things, or they're doing something better than the way that I'm doing it. So age is almost irrelevant in a sense. It becomes more about experience and capability in a really weird way. But also then there's this meme that comes up all the time of you become friends with people on the internet, and you're like, oh yeah, my wife is coming home from trip, and it's like, wait, you're what? And it's like, wait, yeah, I have finals because I'm finishing college. And I'm like, wait, you're what? And just the age range and diverse kind of life experiences of everybody on the internet, where you might not know that about somebody right away, and it's just they play Minecraft, they make cool videos, and then you learn all these extra details about them as a person, and it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much more here, and it gets weird.
Well, do you want to know a fun fact about me, which I was saving for midweek MC, and it will get brought up because it's a midweek MC topic down the line?
Sure.
I am a barista, but I don't drink coffee.
I can't drink coffee either. I could never get into it. I don't know why. I understand that's very much the norm, but
I don't like it.
I don't know. Yeah, because it always seems if somebody made a bad coffee, or if you made your coffee badly, the whole day just sucked.
No, I just don't like the taste. It just tastes burnt to me, no matter what. Because obviously I'm a barista, so like I have it a lot where people are always complimenting my coffees and stuff. I'm sounding really egotistical, but it's true. I'm always having people come up to me like, "Oh, that's like really nice coffee." I'm like, "You're welcome."
You own that. That's fine.
And then I drink it myself, and this tastes horrible because I just don't like coffees. You know, everyone can love it, but I just don't like it. No matter how it's done, no matter who does it. You know.
No, that makes sense. I mean, we all have different tastes about different things that we like, and yeah, very unique point of view. That's a fun fact. That's a good fun fact.
Good fun.
I need a good fun fact.
Well, I mean, we've already got a highlight as well, which is pretty cool. How to pronounce Legundo.
Oh no! Don't make that a highlight.
Why?
Oh.
What's the problem with that being a highlight? It's an amazing highlight.
No, it's fine. Roll with it. I'm here for it. The content play. It's all for the content. I'm here for it. It works.
If it's in the podcast, it can be made a highlight. Okay, that's how I see it.
Okay, that's the rule. I'll keep that in mind. Anything can be clipped. Well, I'm used to things being clipped both with and without context from streams to just be hilarious. So I'm fine with it. You're good.
I might even just highlight Legundo hates me. It's like what? It's like, I mean,
it's not true.
I had like Fulham on the podcast, right? And like I uploaded a highlight which was just titled like Fulham gets angry over a Tesco meal deal. So and like it was just like it was just funny. Like that is literally how the podcast goes. It's just me just having a good time sitting down with an amazing guest like yourself and just vibing, you know?
No, and like you said, I do listen. I record for hours and hours and hours on end on a given day. So I'll normally have something up on a second monitor, either a podcast or something else playing, so I don't go bonkers.
Yeah,
I just
fair.
don't go insane while I'm sitting silently recording a 100 days video and talking maybe every 20 minutes at that, because 90% of what you record in those videos is basically B-roll. So
yeah, I mean, I'm really grateful, by the way. I was like, I don't know, I'm always shocked when someone listens to the podcast, but just I mean, just knowing you listen and you're like someone I wanted on the podcast, like, because I watched your first MCC Rising video. You were one of the teams that I thought was guaranteed into the first MCC Rising. So to now have you here is like, I've known you for that long, you know. Maybe like I would admit, like I was better at content creators. I never really got into Java space anyways. Like I knew who you were, but I never like watched your content. I never watched any Java content creators. Like that's just me being honest, not trying to be like, oh, content bad.
No, it's totally fine.
But then like when I saw you reapply for like MCC Rising 2, I was like, no shot. Like I remember Legundo. Now you're here, and it's like, it's just funny. It's funny how everything works, you know.
That's if nothing else, that is the story of my life, of things taking way longer than I normally expected them to.
Yeah, that's fair enough, honestly.
Yeah, the timing does work out, so that's kind of great. You mentioned Rising 1, and that's such a throwback at this point. And now even thinking that Rising 2 was almost 2 months ago at this point, it's kind of wild. Just time flies.
Quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, time flies. It's you lose track of it so much, just going through day to day, and then looking back and being like, oh, that was a year ago, or that was 2 years ago. For me, 10 years ago is still like 2018, not or let me phrase that slightly differently. Like 2013, 2014 was only like 5 years ago. It doesn't feel that far back.
It doesn't feel that it was actually 10 years ago. Yeah,
decade, and it's like, oh no.
Well, it's officially been 2 years now since MCC Rising 1. Like it has officially been over 2 years.
That's wild.
And we both
what
applied.
A crazy 2 years.
Yeah, I applied for MCC Rising 1 as well. I was on the blue.
Did you apply for 2?
I applied for number 2. I'm a bit real. That video was, we were never gonna get in with that video. We knew it as well. Like no, it wasn't like a like it was a really bad video. It was so it was my idea for the video. We made a PowerPoint. There was either like we get in and we've made a PowerPoint, or we don't get in but we only made a PowerPoint kind of thing. But I applied for 1. That was a serious application.
I might have seen that. I remember when applications were out and everybody was doing the video reviews and everything else, and I was frantically just watching and Googling for any mention of any of our team's names or the word hardcore and rising in the same tweet or anything else. It was just, I got a little addicted to searching myself up, which I don't often do. I very rarely do.
It was MCC Rising. You wanted to know, because I mean, like that sense of, I mean, I knew that creators' opinions didn't mean anything, and it proved by the teams that got in, right? Because like I had Binish's podcast came out a week before, but it's coming out a week before this one. So this Friday that we're recording, the Binish podcast is out, right? And
nice.
And like I talked to Binish about it, and like not a single creator knew their application. I think Binish said that his application had like 200 views. No one had seen it, no one had reacted to it, yet they got in. So like, as much as like creators reacting to it doesn't mean anything, it was always kind of nice to hear like when a creator liked yours kind of thing.
Yeah, if anything else, content creation is weird. Confidence boost, validation in a sense like that. But the one weird thing, probably the weirdest thing I can think of when it comes to content creation, like even in the Minecraft space or just in anything in general, is that the people that you look up to, if you, through a combination of luck and hard work, and you put out content that gets the same amount of attention, those people can become your peers through effort and through a little bit of luck as well. So it's very weird of like, these are people that, some of these people that I used to watch, and now we get to interact and do things with, whereas that wasn't the case before. And that came from becoming kind of a peer to them. And that's not always true in every space. And it's something that I think is, at least the accessibility of it is very unique in the social media space. So that's interesting.
I need to start using peer more, because I always say like, I don't want to call content creators friends, because I always like, this is literally my saying, by the way, like what I say, sorry, so I'm literally word for word, is like, I never want to call content creators friends, because you never actually know like how they feel kind of equally. So I don't want to call with friends. Like I guess like to link to this, by the way, and this isn't like me trying to form a parasocial relationship here, it's just my explanation. It's been like with like Feinberg, for example, right? I've watched Feinberg for years. When I said like I didn't watch many Java creators, I didn't, but Feinberg is one of the people I've always watched, because I've just always been into speedrunning. I didn't do it myself, I just enjoyed watching it. And now like I'm teamed with him, Silver Runs, and President Poundcake in the next Minecraft Mayhem, and it's like,
that's awesome.
It doesn't make us peers. It's like I've had before the tournament like Feinberg added for a while, I've had Silver Runs added for a while, I've had President Poundcake added for like my entire team I've had added on Discord, and it's not like we never really interacted much, and if we have interacted it's possibly to do with the podcast, maybe, who knows. It's just like, it's cool, like you said, I've watched Feinberg for years and now I have to do that on Discord, and it's like, not that that's a big thing, and once again, not trying to form a parasocial relationship like, oh my god, it's Feinberg. It's like same with you now, for example, like I've known you for a long time, I've watched a few of your videos, to be fair. Like I know, like when I said I didn't follow you as like a creator, but I did watch a few videos and they were amazing.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here talking to you today, and it's not like, I'm not saying we're best buds because we haven't really talked much, and we're not best friends or whatever, but it's nice to kind of be on a level where I can like where I have you on the podcast, like I feel it's a nice kind of thing.
Well, I mean, even I know a lot of us, we say parasocial relationships, and there are definitely dangers to that if it can get taken too far, if expectations aren't clear or anything else like that. But like realistically thinking about it, almost all content creation is based off of a parasocial relationship. Every stream, every video ever is I'm doing a thing and I want to take you through the story of it with me, either live or in a pre-recorded, edited, curated format. That's what social media, that's what social media is for 99% of the people who consume it. When it gets too far is where it becomes the parasocial that everybody talks about, where it's a problem. And that is tricky. That's very tricky to deal with, right? Because as a creator, you want to make a welcoming space. You want people to feel safe, to be able to feel like they can discuss things, to be able to feel like they can be their true selves in the space that you make. And sometimes like that can go too far. And that's when we talk about parasocial. But there's healthy versions of that as well.
Oh, so
like,
I do want to hear, like, I think you were going to give the example anyways, but just in case I do kind of want to hear it.
Yeah. So what I would say is, like, in my community, there's a lot of people who have maybe never, or who I know for a fact have never met in person. But I have such a supportive community where there are people there. Somebody came into the chat the other day and announced that they got a job that they had been interviewing for. And we were all excited for them, myself included. We're all very happy to see the person succeed. And having only interacted over text chat, I mean, if you really want to categorize it as that could be a bit of a parasocial relationship.
I don't think so, though. Like, I think like a parasocial, I mean, obviously it's down to preference. So I didn't actually know. Carry on. I cut you off. I didn't mean to. Sorry. I'll let you finish that.
No, and I think it's a fair distinction. It's weird because parasocial by design is it's not symmetrical, right? Yeah. As in, your relationship to somebody is not the same as they are to you. And for a lot of members of the community, them being excited about each other, that's fine. That is a little bit more common as far as what we would call friend groups and how people become friends on the internet, right? Like, they just have a space, they talk to each other, they're equal. But even it is something that I try to keep in mind and try to be cognizant of, because I call myself people's internet dad, and I try to provide that kind of space and persona and personality for people, even especially for some who might not have that kind of influence in their lives and be able to talk about things like that and be that person for them. But I can't be there 100% of the time for everybody. And that is something that requires, it's a delicate balancing act in being there for the people in my community and being there for people who really need it, but then also knowing when somebody needs something more tangible or more in person, and helping guide them towards that, or finding that in another way if I know I can't do that for them. So it becomes tricky as a creator interacting with your community, because I feel like it goes both ways too, because there are members of my community as well who I would consider friends or things along those lines, and it is not a direct one-to-one dynamic as far as like creator to some members of the community, and something that I think people need to keep in mind and be cognizant of. And obviously we've heard stories where it's used badly. Who's that lady with the ukulele who was just awful, right?
Yeah.
But so just being cognizant of it as a consumer of content, as a creator of content, I think is something that should be on everybody's mind. It's something to keep in the back of your head when you're having conversations like this.
I mean, it's just like, I guess like my view on it is, for instance, like CPK made a tweet yesterday from when we're recording this, talking about how he's going to, what's the name of it? I think it's like EGX or something in London, right? And he said like, oh, if you buy a ticket, you get a discount. So I bought a ticket because I didn't know it was happening. So I'm going to it because I want to go to it because it's a gaming thing, and I can get there pretty easily. So I used his discount, and I replied to it like, oh yeah, are you going on Sunday? He said, yeah, I'm going on Sunday. I said, oh, sick. Like, just bought a ticket, thank you. And he replied, oh, you're the go. So like, I think like how I would count parasocial is like, if I thought now I'm gonna go meet him, I'm gonna go hang out with him the entire day. Like, I think that's what I think, because obviously I would obviously love to be like mutuals one day with CPK. Obviously right now, like, I am a fan because I watch his content and stuff like that, but I'm not like a fanboy, I'd say. And it's like I'd love to just be mutual, like, with content terms. And it's like I feel like with parasocial, I feel like my definition of it is like, if I thought now that I'm gonna go meet him, I'm gonna go hang out with him all day, all that kind of stuff, that's what, like, I guess that's my basis of it. But then mine is very broad, and like there can be multiple different things, but I'm just thinking when I mention parasocial, I just think very broadly, very to the point of just like, you know, like making a whole scenario of a friendship with a content creator based on one interaction. It's like, for instance, like you, if I watch your content, right, and like you know, you said, oh, like I really like your haircut orbits, like, and then I instantly just made this whole thing of us being besties and getting like haircuts together. Probably not the best example. Sorry,
I mean, have you seen me? If you want to
realized,
go
I'm
ahead and
sorry.
shave your head, I am
You
more
get
than
what I
willing.
mean.
One of us.
One
Of us. Yes. No.
But I realized mid sentence and said haircut. I was like, wait, that's probably not the best example.
You
Sorry.
picked both the absolute worst and the absolute best possible example for that, because
sorry.
like the one to take back to Rising and to go and to maybe put a fine little bow on all of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
getting to know all the other creators in Rising and getting to kind of move from the kind of maybe co-consumer where we both are aware of each other but just kind of orbit around each other, the pun, but then also to now kind of be mutuals and friends with a lot of the people there. Seeing everybody be so wonderful about Wade and then myself, and there was this one post on the MCC subreddit about Wade and me, and it's like being bald and wonderful, and I'm like, heck yes, one of us. Like, I've had the bald is beautiful tag on my Twitch stream since the day that they launched tags, and I will never take it off. I'm
Honestly,
just
that's such
keeping
a
it there.
mood. That's fair play, honestly.
It's been about 2 years. I shaved my head about 2 years ago. That's when I finally gave in. Stopped trying to hold on, and I honestly think I look better for it because it's more a conscious choice instead of just kind of whatever hand genetics decided to deal me. So I like it. I like it. I rock with it. I'm totally here for it.
This podcast format is out the window. This is just turned into a nice little conversation, which is, I guess, a nice little difference because we're kind of just talking in general rather than it's an interviewing podcast. But this is a bit more like
if you want to get me back on track, feel free. I am a gremlin who will just go off in random directions, so I'm totally fine.
It's fine. I don't mind. Like, we're still talking about you. You know, just because we're not following a format doesn't mean like it's what we're doing is bad, kind of thing.
Burn the format. Let's do something new. Okay, what's next?
But yeah, no, I do have one question though, and I'm not sure if like I guess just while we're on the topic of MCC Rising, I might as well bring it. I don't want to talk about MCC Rising too much because I did a podcast with Blackie about MCC Rising 1. I did a podcast with Generis about being subbed into MCC Rising. And then Binish last week, we talked about MCC Rising 2 and like the aftermath of it and stuff like that. So I really don't want to do like loads of podcasts about it every single time I bring on a guest. Like, how was MCC Rising? I do have a question. Yeah. And once again, I'm not sure if you will answer this, so we'll see. When you first applied for MCC Rising, you had your 4 stack. When you applied for MCC Rising 2, only 3 of you reapplied.
Yes.
Can we know the story? Because it is something that I'm really curious about the missing 4th person.
Sure. Looney is. Yeah, no, totally fine. There's no drama or secrets or anything else to like this. The very first message I sent was in the original chat with the 4 of us from last time, Team Deceit, now Team Hardcore or anything else like that. Looney and I are still very close friends. Like we still talk pretty frequently, as much as we can with both of our schedules and time zones and everything else. Like life always seems to get in the way, but. Looney if you don't know, Looney died in his hardcore world, his original one, about a year and a half ago, I think, at this point. And he's been working on his new one since, and it's a sleepless world and everything else. And I know what his goals are for that world, and I won't spoil them. Maybe you need to get him on the podcast to talk about it a little bit more and to get into his thing. So y'all go watch Looney. He's amazing. He does really cool stuff, but he has himself on a very strict schedule to accomplish everything by a specific date. And the training and everything else that he knew if we got in that he'd want to do, because he'd be on the Parkour Warrior course 100% or on Ace Race to be at the top of the leaderboard, because that's the kind of person he is. Like, he would just grind it out, and his schedule just didn't line up. So it was really unfortunate that it didn't work out. He was rooting for us from the sidelines, which was awesome. He sent a bunch of people my way on the day of the event with a raid, which was great. Like, love Looney, appreciate him so much. Was bummed that he couldn't be there for our second crack at it. But then we went to another member of Deceit, and Brock was just the next person in line. With the other three of us said, okay, who would we want to be our fourth? And Brock was a no questions guest to jump in and be that fourth person. So yeah, no drama, no secrets. It was just schedules didn't line up, so we went with another friend.
At least they were rooting for you, though. That's nice. At least they were there, like,
Yeah.
on the sidelines. It's just, I guess it's just a bit thingy, because I remember, like, because one thing that when obviously I reapplied, I was thinking of running back team Blue Bedrockers, right? And we very easily could have, because it was me, Potato, Evident, and Ignacio Blade. Actually, no, we couldn't have, because it would have been like your scenario, Ignacio Blade. But essentially, Ignacio Blade is quick content great. And me and Evident weren't really. We talk now, but we weren't. Ever since I left Bedrock Edition, I kind of not cut ties. I just haven't really talked to many people from Bedrock Edition, other than Potato Pie, because me and Potato Pie are just really good friends. And like that's a case of, once again, back to the parasocial thing. It's different because Potato Pie is American, and we have met up in real life, and we've spent time with each other at IRL. So that's not like a parasocial kind of beat, if that makes sense. But he, so we could have ran it back, but we just didn't. So when I remember watching your application since Patel, I was like, oh, like they did the idea we were going to do, like that we thought of like running our team back. I was like, they're missing someone. I was like, and genuinely, my first thought was, I wonder if this will affect their application. And it's like, because obviously when you're applying to MCC Horizon, you think of absolutely every possibility, good or bad, right? So like one of my things were like, I wonder if them running back free of the team gives them a boost. You know, like
I honestly I couldn't know. I've spoken.
No, I'm not trying
with
to hint as like
Avondale.
to know.
No,
Sorry.
but to answer the question as much as I can, like I was able to speak with Avondale and hang out and talk with a few people from Nox Crew since then, and I don't know how much of a consideration, because also it's worth noting that the group who chose the teams for Rising 2 is different from the group who chose the teams for Rising 1.
Yeah.
So the assessment itself would have been different anyway. So I don't know how much, looking at kind of one year to another, it was a different group of people.
Well, it's just
and
me
everything
looking
else,
into it like loads is what I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but we didn't think as much about that as far as like, would running people back give us a better chance or anything else like that. That wasn't a thought on my mind. That wasn't a thought on any of our minds. My thought was, if I'm going to do this, there are no other people in the world that I would rather do it with. And fair, I didn't build a team. We didn't build a team based off of what would give us the best odds of getting in or not. We built the team based off of, if I'm going to do this, these are the three people that I would want to do it with who are available. And that's the asterisk I'll put on it, because I would have loved to have had Looney on the team, right? As much as I would have loved to have had Brock on the team, right? Like it was just, here's of our circle of the group of people of whom I most trust, pick any three of them. And these are the people I would ride or die with to get into the event. And that's how we did it.
I guess we're doing exactly what I didn't want to do, and we are going to talk about MCC because I have
sure.
I do have some questions. Your team's application didn't change much. You still went for the exact same like idea, give or take, like Team Hardcore.
Kind of, yeah.
You went for the same idea, but it obviously, not to sound rude here. I mean, you didn't sound cocky earlier, by the way, so I don't think it sounds rude. I think we're just saying this. Like you ran back the same idea when it didn't work last time. So yes. What was? I know it was a different like set of like people reviewing it, of course, but like, what made you think it was gonna work this time, doing the same idea? What was like? Was there anything in your head, or were you just like, we did it last time, people loved it, let's just do it again?
Genuinely, it was, this is the best way we can think of to show ourselves off. This is what we're capable of. And we've grown as creators in the 2 years since we made the original one. So you can see where the editing is better in app number 2 versus app number 1. And editing affects composition, all of it, just pacing, just how it's better. So it's like, look, this is how we can show ourselves off. This is the way that we'd want to go with it. We've grown in 2 years, which was a theme that we tried to include in our commentary as well, of how much we've grown over the last 2 years. So if nothing else, like, this is the best possible version of ourselves that we could present. And that's not only true of that video, that's true of basically everything that I make. Like, every video I try to put out is the best possible video I can make at the time. And I would hope, I like to think that they've gotten better over time. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, I would like to think that I make better content over time. And I look at stuff that I made a year ago and I'm like, oh man, the pacing here is all weird or wonky or doing a cut or a clip. And I'll probably a year from now look back at the stuff that I'm making now and say, well, why did I make this decision or do that or X, Y, or Z? I'm not trying to chase trends as much, which is weird coming from somebody who makes 100 days videos, which is very much a trend. trend, but I've been doing it for longer than it's been a trend. But
so you
like,
get away with it on that and on that basis kind of thing.
sure, I guess. Like also the types of videos that I make, like I make 2-hour long videos that I am perfectly content with being played on a TV or put on a second monitor. I despise retention editing with a fiery passion. And while I will make concessions for maybe the first minute of a video to try to trick people into watching something that I think is good instead of what the algorithm thinks is good, I would prefer to not. And I very much long for, as much as you probably hear from a lot of other creators, when it was more about the personality that was on show than the overall level of like, you need 6 cuts in the first 3 seconds to optimize for this. And every Twitter thread that says Mr. Beast succeeds because this specific shade of blue in his thumbnails. I'm like, if I could delete anything from the internet, that would be it. All of the threads of like, here's how the perfect thumbnail comes from Mr. Beast. I'm so glad that he posted that A/B test where he closed his damn mouth. Now I don't need to watch everybody being gross in their thumbnails now, and people will just smile like a regular person because everybody's gonna change it right after Jimmy says it. So like everybody's gonna do it because that's the meta, quote unquote. I get a little worked up about that. I don't believe in any of that. which might be why I'm not like the giga star that some of my friends are. So that's totally fair.
But I mean, it's like me with the podcast, for instance. Like the podcasts get about 50 to 150 views. Like, I mean, I know podcasts are really not for retention's sake and they're really based on just who wants to listen, but I'm sticking at it. It's something I'm just going to keep doing. I see other podcasts like Impulsive and Jagmay's Happy Hour. Jagmay's Happy Hour is what inspired me to start a podcast. I see all this kind of stuff and I'm like, if they can get there, then I can. Obviously, they were all larger creators, so they had the boost from the get-go, which I kind of did at the start of my podcast career before I stopped uploading the podcast, because I took that big break of when I started the night shift job that I mentioned to you for the podcast. That kind of like killed everything. But I mean, I'm staying confident. I'm doing what I want to do, kind of like how you're doing what you want to do. You're doing it in your own style, and if it's what you enjoy, I love the podcast, right? If I change the style to something that's maybe a bit more algorithm friendly or whatever, I wouldn't upload so much because I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't be bothered to because I wouldn't be passionate about it. But I'm passionate about what I do right now. I'm passionate about how I do it, so I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say something, and I don't want this to come across lectury, but I think this is also true for anybody who might be listening. Another thing that I will campaign very frequently on is delete the word small from your vocabulary when it comes to talking about yourself as a creator.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I always never mention it.
But I genuinely think that's great advice, and you didn't say that, and I wanted to kind of like kudos for that in a sense. But whether you create for one person or a million, you're a creator. Full stop. When I see people call themselves a small YouTuber or a small streamer, it hurts inside because it shows to me, or at least this is how I perceive it, that one of their metrics of success or metrics of value or worth is a sub count. And that is probably the thing of which you have the least control over when it comes to things that you make, your subs or your views or something like that. Like you can optimize and work or create things to get more subscribers or to get more views. But if it's not the thing that you are making as your authentic self, it is unsustainable. Whether that be for 6 months, 6 years, at some point in time, you'll hit a point where it's like, I can't pretend to be this thing that I'm not anymore, which is probably why we see so much burnout from creators who kind of have to put on a face or a character of what they think people want to watch instead of who they really are.
Yeah, I mean, I like surely like I'm surely one of the podcasts you've listened to. I've had to have said it because I say it quite a lot. It's like every single time I say small or large, I always put in quotation marks because I like it like you. I hate the term if you ever get a chance, I listen to every single podcast, which I mean, it probably isn't going to happen because of just the basic. Like, I mean, I don't listen to every single Jack Happy Hour podcast. I haven't. It's like I always say, these smaller in quotation marks smaller. I always say it like that because it's kind of hard to avoid if you're talking about certain subjects because like I mean I know you've just said you hate the word, which is fair, but like compared to me and a larger podcast, I am in quotation marks a smaller podcast. I am. It's like as much as I'm still a creator, I am still less subs making me smaller, but that doesn't reduce my value, and that's why I'm still and that's why I've got the guests I have on. That's why I've got you on today, like because I know you don't have an ego, obviously. I know you're not rude or whatever, but you could have very easily turned around saw how many views the podcast gets, and you're like, yeah, no, I'm not going on that. It's going to get like 50 views.
No,
I'm not going to
that's
waste my
not.
time. But
Realistically, if anybody has done that, they're not the kind of guest that you probably
no one's
want
done
on
it.
in the
No
first
one's
place.
done it. That's what I'm trying to say, because like the podcast is so well presented. I mean, I really pride myself in professionalism. I really pride how well the podcast looks, and that's why. And Venom said on his podcast, the reason he came on was because my email had an actual email. I had like a profile picture on email. The way I sent him the message, same way I sent you the message inviting you on, was really professional, really like well worded. And like that's what I'm saying. Like despite the view counts, because it's so well done, it doesn't matter that I have less than 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It doesn't matter that like my most viewed podcast since the return is about 240 views. Because the podcast looks good, creators want to come on it because they know they're not wasting their time on a half-assed effort, and it's something that they want to help support because they can see I'm putting in the work. And that's why like there's different words of it. There's smaller as in like, oh yeah, I'm a smaller creator, and then there's smaller as in like you're not putting in the work smaller, if that makes sense. Like I'm a smaller creator, but I'm still trying to be, you know, I'm trying to run a good podcast, which I think I'm doing a good job of. I just haven't got the recognition yet, which is something I'm working towards. You just don't, sometimes it gets handed to you, sometimes it doesn't, you know. And for me right now, it hasn't, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I kind of went on a bit of a tangent there, but I hope you get what I mean.
I get what you mean. It's like I said, it is not impossible to stack the odds in your favor, but at the end of the day, YouTube is an odds game. It's a numbers game. That you can do kind of everything according to whoever's playbook you decide to work on, including your own. And you can only really control 80% of the situation at best.
Exactly.
And everything else past that point is a bit of a roll of the dice, or at least things that are outside of your direct control. So it's hard because that is, again, kind of unique to an online space, and especially kind of just what the audience is looking for, or what if you can find your audience. That's always very tricky.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've done, I mean, there's always more, but I feel like I've done so much to promote podcasts and everything like that. Like I've even changed, like I have like pre-highlight clips, I have the highlights channel, I have like, you know, everything. Like I do pretty much everything I can in my power to promote a podcast. It's just something that I can't really do much more than I am now, you know, if that makes sense. So now it's come to a stage where it's out of my control. I got to keep doing what I'm doing and just like kind of hope eventually the numbers, I mean, and they slowly are, like with all the guests I'm getting on, with the opportunities that are happening. Like for instance, Mayhem is a good example of just an opportunity that's come out of nowhere that I could maybe use to benefit the podcast. Who knows? Like that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about just building and playing whatever. To use a poker analogy, you play the cards that you're dealt, but at the end of the day, the strategy is yours.
This has become a midweek MC. We are recording a midweek MC right now, Legundo.
Okay, why not both?
Well, I mean, it's still going to be uploaded as an Inside MC. I'm just saying.
Sure.
I guess back to you then, because I kind of transitioning back to interviewing you in a sense. You touched on it earlier, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more, maybe kind of also for a possible highlight as well, to be a bit cleaner. So you said your name's made up. You said it comes from the Spanish word legend, but not the actual wording of legend in Spanish. Can you, like, I guess, I technically repeat yourself, I guess, touch on it a little bit more?
Yeah, so Legundo is a masculine version.
Legundo,
because
sorry.
Yeah, it's because it's gendered. Spanish is gendered language, and legenda it happened to be feminine as far as the word. And I wanted to make up something different. I've maybe an unhealthy obsession. So this is based off of an old screen name that I had. That was also something legend that I liked that part of it because realistically speaking, legends are stories that were told or passed down or something along those lines. And if you can be that, you kind of live longer than yourself, or you exist longer than the thing that you create, or your story does at least. And I very much liked that as kind of maybe an ideal of being a content creator. So that's why I stuck with that for the name. It's just kind of stuck. And then Minecraft goes and makes Minecraft Legends, which was like, oh, come on, you gotta do me like this.
They stole your name.
So, yeah, but it did well. Like, I really like that game. I like Legends and Dungeons. I think all the spin-off games have been a lot of fun. But yeah, that's the ethos behind the name in a sense, is just kind of why I like the concept of things that exist longer than the creator in a sense.
I guess, I mean, is it because of like the way that the word is already pronounced? Is that why it's pronounced Legundo? Because I know I've made a habit of calling you Legundo, and I do apologize because I mean, something like I know it's not that you're annoyed, it's just like having your name. It's like when people
No, you're
forget the
fine.
extra Z in my name in like a team announcement. I'm
Well,
just like, come on,
it's
dude.
funny because that's very common for English-speaking pronunciation of Spanish words. At least my wife tells me this. My wife's originally from Dominican Republic. She
Okay.
emigrated to the U.S. when she was very little. She helped me make the fake masculine version of the word. Like she helped me figure out like spelling and pronunciation about what it would be in by an actual Spanish speaker.
That was Legundo.
So that was Legundo with a softer U. So and it's actually common. Like if you hear people who are native English speakers speak Spanish, you'll hear that kind of same thing outside of my name. It's just a thing that has happened.
Yeah, it's just I mean, like I'm just saying, I feel bad because it's like, for instance, when, as I mentioned, when like say someone is adding me in a team announcement and they forget the Z, it's just like it's a little thing that isn't annoying. It's just like just add the extra Z, you know. Like my name is Insane Orbits with 2 Z's, or in American 2 Z's, and it's like so when it's just Insane Orbits 1 Z, it's like come on, you know.
What you need to do is register that as like your second account or your alt account, and you need to just have it so you still get linked to it, or you just make a YouTube channel that has one video on it that's like you forgot the second Z.
I might
And that's
have to.
it.
That's a
all
good
it
idea.
says.
Somebody, so a listener, do it, please. Just do it for me. I don't have to do it. You guys just make the account and just upload it as like
Crowdsource
the
it.
second Z. Sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you could do that. That could be funny.
I guess, like, I mean, it's a very broad thing to say, and it's probably not. I'm kind of just. This is a big. It's like a fun little speculation. It probably isn't a reason for it. It's just a cool thing to ask. Is the name Legend or Legundo linked to why you make 100 days videos? Because 100 days videos are stories, as you mentioned. Legends are stories. So, like, is maybe that a part of the reason why? Like, does it link well because did you always want to make story content kind of thing, or I'm kind of asking 2 questions in one here, but you know,
we're gonna go deep cut here. So, like I said, I've been making content online for about 20 years. I've been making stuff longer than YouTube has existed. Some of my earliest creations and videos were little flash animations that went on Newgrounds. And please tell me you know what that site is.
I've heard of it. I don't think I ever used it.
That used to be the internet. Okay, listen here, youngin. That used to be where people actually went to watch videos and stuff before YouTube came around.
I heard of it back in the day.
Google bought YouTube. Yeah.
Is that the one with the tank, or am I thinking it was a different one?
You are correct.
Okay, good. Okay,
I mean, the logo's changed over time, but yes, it had the tank logo at least for some period of time. So I remember doing that. The first video I think I ever uploaded online it went to Google Videos, I think, just because that was one of the few places that would let you upload video for free because it was very expensive to host video back in the day, like 2003, 2004 time frame, something along those lines. That I think that was my freshman year of high school. So that is, yeah. But I did fanfic writing as well. So I've always been or like telling stories of some kind. So I had a Yu-Gi-Oh fan fiction back in the day, which went for like I think 60 chapters or something like that. And then the TCG player forums got hard reset. They just lost all of their data from everything. So the whole story is just lost to time. It's gone. You cannot find it anymore because I wrote it on the site. I didn't have like a document backup. I just had a browser where I could write it on the site. So I've been telling stories and making stuff for the longest time. But even my most recent channel, this channel, the one that I'm currently on, it didn't start as a Minecraft channel either. I was doing daily Halo 5 content. I actually went back away from the Minecraft space back in 2015-ish, I think, and went to Halo. It's another game that I've been very passionate about for a very long time. I always enjoyed playing. Very different vibe, very different type of content which gets made. And I did daily content on that for the better part of, I think, 2 years before having my first kid. And once my daughter was born, it's like, okay, I'm not going to be able to make daily content anymore. I powered through for about another year, I think. So I think I hit 3 years of daily uploads or multi-videos a day uploads between Halo, Destiny, some variety content, and then kind of needed to step back and take a break for a little while. And the channel kind of went quiet for maybe about 6 months. And 2020 happened, and I wanted to make stuff again. I was playing the heck out of Minecraft Dungeons, actually. And I was
Yes.
making like weapon guide
I
and
know
buildcraft
this.
videos and other
Yep.
things around that. And I was doing a heck of a lot of that. But then I also started 1.16 was about to drop. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try making like these videos that my friends Luke and Sean were making. I'm gonna make a new one, and I'm gonna make one of these 100 days videos because I can talk for a while. And my very first 100 days video that dropped on the channel, I think it dropped in late June, and it went pretty quiet for about 60 days. And then the week of my birthday in 2020, that video went from 10,000 views to over 1 million in the span of 1 week. And everything changed. I went from 18,000 subscribers to 180,000 in the span of like a month. And reality shifted as far as, is this possible or anything else? Because it's always a job I've wanted to do. And it's the thing that I've wanted to do. And that kind of entered the realm of possibility. And it's taken a lot of work since then. But it was just one good video and then the blessing of the algorithm sometime later where everything popped off. And sad to say it, but 2020 made a lot of creators' careers because people were stuck inside and needed things to entertain themselves. So being able to be that and provide like an escape and a place for people to be able to watch a story and not have it be the super fast-paced edited, super sound effects cuts every 2 seconds kind of videos that were very, very common back then. Things have slowed down a little since, which is nice, but it just provided something different for people to be able to watch.
But why specifically the change though? It was like your Minecraft dungeon videos were doing really, really. They were doing like, I mean, like I mentioned, I did really well with command block tutorials, and I moved to gameplay because I was just bored of the command block tutorials. Like your dungeon videos looking back did really well, and then I mean obviously the change worked because your first ever 100-day video got 10 million views, and it's the most viewed video on your channel, which is crazy.
It is
big props. But like, what is it specifically that made you kind of click and go like, yeah, no, I don't want to make dungeons videos anymore. I want to make Minecraft videos.
I think I still did for a little while, but I did eventually stop with dungeons. Part of it was at launch, dungeons endgame was a little repetitive, and this is coming from a Destiny 2 player, mind you. Dungeons build crafting left a little bit to be desired at the time, so I was kind of done with the game. Jungle DLC hadn't dropped yet, so there wasn't a lot more for me to do. I was doing Apocalypse 5 runs, and I was just blowing through them in a few minutes, solo. So like, I was kind of done with the game. I had done everything that was there to provide. And when that video blew up, it's like, oh, okay, there's something potentially here. Like, let's go back to this. And I had been in the Minecraft space before, different username. I had a server. Like, we had made some very cool stuff that I still haven't seen done in other places, even to this day. But it died because I was not able to get the word out about the server, and server costs are expensive. So I kind of burned through everything that I could to keep it running. So making that and then being able to code myself and being able to add and modify and build things out, and just like, okay, if people like having a calm space that they can sit back and enjoy the videos and not have this kind of hyper editing, maybe they'd like it again. And then I put out 200 days about 2 or 3 months after the original one blew up. I had been working on it a little bit here and there. I'm like, oh, okay, this got 10,000 views. I'm super excited about it. Let's make more. And then when it blew up, obviously it's like, oh, okay, now let's really make more. Like, people would really like this. And just it's like the next one went. It's like, okay, great, let's make the next one. Okay, great, let's make the next one. Can we tell the story better? Can we do something different? And then I started getting into like doing mod packs and doing different twists on it. And that was about the time where the trend as a whole started to really blow up. So I was no longer one of only like 6 people who were making that kind of video. I was one of maybe 600. And there is all sorts of conversations we can get into regarding 100 days content online and how it all plays out and how it's done. But yeah, in just being kind of me and telling stories my way and having this very fun narrative between all the videos and kind of behind the scenes of all of them as well, which I've been working on for some time. What's up?
It's Legundo.
Well, it is, but I guess I can just be more direct about it now because people have known for a while. There is an ARG that goes on behind all of my videos. There's a story that connects literally every 100 Days video I've ever made and my main hardcore world and my community SMP. It's spanned across all of my social medias and everything else like that.
Oh,
And
crap, okay.
there's all sorts of fun little puzzles and secrets and cross references about this one very specific story. So instead of them all just being 100 days one-off of videos, there's an actual narrative as far as why me or my character is jumping from one world to the next to the next to the next and going through all these different challenges and the lessons that he's trying to be taught along the way. So there's some really fun stuff there. And I enjoy that, even though maybe like 100 people tops have ever noticed that stuff is there, but that's something that's there for me, and that's why I continue to enjoy making more of this.
You should do a what if when have you watched What If by any chance?
I have, yeah.
When Ultron sees the Watcher, you should do a 100 days type video of that. Since you've got this whole alternate reality, you should do one where and unless you have already, sorry if you have and I haven't kept up.
I've had both the hero and the villain make fourth wall breaks and talk directly to the users. It's been fun.
Okay, all right, you've already done it. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say but you have you ever done it where they break into another alternate reality?
Not in one video because that's a limitation of Minecraft mod packs to some degree.
Okay. But I mean,
right?
editing, no? Editing can probably do something there, no?
Maybe it would require a little bit more creative and commands and kind of scripting than I prefer for my videos. Yeah. I try to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum and have it be an authentic experience through the mod. That's obviously, if something breaks or if something requires some configuration or some tweaking because maybe a mod's being updated or worked on in the moment, I'll do stuff like that to make sure that the video is functional. But I try to not arrange for scenarios or events to happen, and I record 25 hours worth of footage because that's how long it takes to record 100 days where you're doing every day for the full 20 minutes in each day. So it's a lot of work, and I just prefer to keep it a little less scripted on that sense of things so it can be an authentic experience.
I honestly used to think 100 days content was like 100 IRL days. It was only recently where I find out that 100 days was Minecraft days. Because I used to think I used to look back and I'm like, that's weird. They're uploading this too quickly. Like if you want to I get people know it's scripted, but if you want to make it seem like it's not scripted, why are you uploading two 100 days videos in a span of 3 weeks? And it's and then I only found out that 100 days videos are Minecraft 100 days, which no joke, I just genuinely didn't know.
No, I mean, because it can go either way. I mean, obviously the trend and the number exists in other spaces, and they're talking about it in IRL days as well. And credit where credit's due. Luke got a lot of attention on doing the number and getting people specifically with that challenge, specifically with hardcore. I know he was doing Fortnite at first, and then he transitioned it to Minecraft, and obviously that popped off for him as well, which is why that's all he does now, I think, at this point, is primarily that kind of content. So yeah, I mean, it can go either way. It's hard because I also do things that are 7 days, and that's 7 real life days, or 30 days, and that's 30 real life days. So having kind of this difference in what time we're even measuring while using the same words, it does cause some confusion amongst people who watch the channel, but hopefully not too much. So it's tricky.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'm glad you made the switch just for your sake, because obviously, like I said, you're doing well with Minecraft Legends, but didn't they come out recently and say that the game is no longer getting updates? It's just being kind of abandoned and left to how it is.
Well, yeah, that it hurts, right? So yeah, Dungeons is basically reached end of life. It's done. They've done everything that they want or are going to do with it. They're not adding any new additional content to it. So it's unclear whether or not they'll continue to support it with bug fixes or other things along those lines, because they mentioned that the team was moving on to new things. So I really hope it's not just going to become abandonware, and then if a bug or a glitch is found, that they won't fix it. But at least there's no new DLC or anything else along those lines. New development has ended, which It sucks. I really wish they'd keep going with it because I think they had something very cool. It's just at launch, it did feel the end game felt a little lackluster, which I know kind of threw some people off. But that's true about other games too lately that have just gotten so much better. Sea of Thieves. I did a ton of Sea of Thieves content. I don't know how much of it is still on the channel at the time because I have gone back and privated a lot of old stuff on the channel just to try to keep it easier to navigate and a little bit more consistent because I uploaded a lot and not all of it was great. But Sea of Thieves back in the day, very quiet as far as what you could do on launch and like 1.1. But that game has had so much added to it. I keep wanting to go back and I keep thinking I can't afford to spend 12 hours on a single voyage, but I still want to go. And I have so many friends trying to get me to go play Sea of Thieves with them. And
do it. Time. Have a one-off, get addicted to it, and then regret it. There we go.
No, yeah, that is the cycle of things when it comes to gaming with me. No, it's just a matter of time and scheduling has been. It's the ever-present enemy. It's like every D&D group ever. Just finding the time to meet is hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just seems like Minecraft in general, like every single game they made, that like Minecraft story mode, I honestly wanted to go back and like play that, but you can't really get anywhere. Kind of off the market. And then there's Minecraft Legends, and then what's that new one? Minecraft.
Well, Dungeons was the old one. Legends is the new.
Yeah, no, sorry. Minecraft Dungeons is like Minecraft Dungeons, and then Minecraft Legends is it just died instantly. But then again, it was also like on release, it was really bad. Like you couldn't play with parties. There was no in-game voice chat. There was like nothing. Like it was a really, and I will openly say that was a really bad game for start, in my opinion. It seems like everything Minecraft made that isn't base game Minecraft, they just seem to fail. But then who's spending £40 on Minecraft Legends when creators are playing it and they can't even talk to their team? That's like one of the things that put me off from buying. So I was like, why would I play this if there's no communication? Because I was watching Potato Pie play it, and like he like saved up all this redstone, right, to get like a contraption, and then his teammates just spent it on useless stuff. And it's like, why would I download this game? Why would I buy this if that's just how it's going to be?
Strategy games are very hard without in-game communication. But yeah, I don't know. The expectation of every game having voice chat and everything else, I think it depends on the genre and it depends on the game that you're making at the time. Obviously, they've made both Dungeons and Legends were meant to be simplified versions of the genre that they exist in. And I think where Dungeons worked a lot better, for Legends specifically, people who play RTSs don't want a simple RTS, and people who play simple games don't want to play an RTS. So the Venn diagram of that is very small, and that's what they had to work with. So a bit of a bummer. But the art style that came out of it is amazing, and I've rebuilt some of that stuff in base Minecraft, and it's been very cool, and it fits very well. So if nothing else, the world expansion that those games provide is very, very useful as inspiration.
Yeah, like the characters and stuff from like Minecraft Legends and Minecraft Dungeons, like I'd love to see them in base game Minecraft. Like some of the Minecraft Dungeons, like characters that aren't in Minecraft are so cool, like the mob stuff like that. And that's what a lot of people are saying, like why not transfer them over to the main Minecraft?
I mean, it could potentially work. I'd be interested to see how it could be done, honestly.
I mean, it's just making the mob in Minecraft, no?
I mean, saying just making the mob, I mean, you're talking two different programming languages, a different point of view, a different overall game of survival versus RTS. Like, it is... this is one thing where I might not be happy. I might not be happy with some of the overall quantity or frequency of the updates that come from the base game. But I am also one of those people who's like, a modder made this in 1 month. I'm like, that is not the same. And they don't, that correlation is a bad one. And even most modders will tell you that correlation is a bad one. So that's a very complicated subject to get into kind of Minecraft's update or release schedule or cadence, because there's no way you're going to make people happy with expectations as high as they are on the game. It is a losing gamble, unfortunately, which is a bummer because it affects everybody who plays the game and the community overall, which I very much hate that the overall discourse surrounding most video games is almost always negative because the people who are happy are just playing the game. Like you go to Twitter and search any game, and it's going to be 90% negative tweets because people only go to Twitter to complain.
Yeah, it's annoying, especially because like in my old community, there's a lot of people who like when I used to play Hive Bedrock Edition, there were so many like people like making videos saying they hated the Hive while also literally recording their video playing the Hive, and it's just like, if you hate it so much, stop playing it. You know, like, if the only thing you're gonna do is complain about the bloody game, stop playing the bloody game. You know.
Well, I don't want to tell people
that
they can't provide criticism. That's important to make sure that the game is done well.
That's why I specified hate, by the way. It wasn't ever criticism. This was straight up just hating on the server. Like, I provided criticism, and that's why I kept playing it. But there's a lot of people who, with Minecraft, will actively say they hate Minecraft, they hate the update, they hate what they're doing and stuff. And it's like, but you still play it. Like, change your hate towards criticism so it doesn't look so weird you playing while criticizing it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
I guess that's my view on it. I'm kind of going. We keep going off on tangents. Legundo, sorry. You going off on bloody tangents. So we'll be talking about one thing and it'll lead into a completely different topic that's completely unrelated.
This is gonna be your longest podcast ever.
Oh no, please. The Fulham one was so long to edit. I mean,
I want the record. I regularly upload 2-hour videos. This is nothing.
I don't think we're gonna have enough time of recording to bloody break the record though.
We got another hour. You're fine.
Yeah, that's not gonna break the record though if we only have an hour.
Wait, really? How long is the
Fulham podcast is? I'll get the exact number here. It is 2 hours and 12 minutes.
We can just make it if you don't edit it at all.
And I'm gonna edit it. So.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I guess once again going back on track, and we're moving a little bit away from Minecraft here. When I ask a question, you mentioned earlier D&D. So I have been told, and I tried to do the research on this, but I couldn't find anything. So you're probably gonna have to fact check me here. I have wrote down that you make physical D&D dice.
I do. I did.
You're gonna have to explain that to me because I couldn't really seem to find anything. I tried, unless I was just really bad at looking. But
it's not under Legundo at all, so that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense then. Yeah.
There's another hobby I picked up in 2020. I actually picked it up just before I started getting into and being very interested in kind of woodworking and making dice because it was starting to become a little bit more common, or at least there was more resources online of how to make dice. And I've been playing tabletop games for years. Like I have my main D&D world, which has existed for about 9 years now. I've run 4 or 5 campaigns in it. So just constantly building that out. And I'm like, I wanted to make my own dice. I wanted to learn a little bit of woodworking. Why not? And then 2020 happened and it's like, okay, well, I'm stuck inside and I don't have anything else to do. Here's another hobby that I could do. And granted, doing both at once, probably not the greatest idea. Time management was very tricky, but I did learn how to cast a resin dice in silicone and be able to make the molds for that and then do my own mixes and my own designs. And I also learned CNC woodworking and machining to be able to make hardwood dice boxes.
That's really cool.
And Dungeon Master screens and like rolling trays and all of that stuff. I ran both businesses through 2020 and 2021, and I did a couple Kickstarters as well under like that entirely separate brand because it's not like a Minecraft thing, so it didn't make sense to connect it as a Legundo thing. It was its own separate thing, but I made that, and yeah, I still have a ton of them. Those are the dice that I use. I still have all the supplies, but I moved last year, and unfortunately the garage at this house doesn't have power in it. There's one receptacle for the whole garage, and half of it's used to plug in a fridge. So I can't run any of the machines or ventilation or anything else that's required to do any of that safely because it's very important. Like the fumes that you get from resin casting, you have to be very, very conscious of making sure that they are safe, that you're operating safely. So I can't do any of that anymore. So I kind of had to shut that down about a year ago at this point because just lack of space to do it. But it's also as YouTube was ramping up again. So it was kind of taking more of my time anyway. So I was focusing a lot more, but I'm very proud of it. I'll send you the Instagram that you can check it out and take a look at all of the stuff. But it was a very fun little 2-year adventure, and I might get back into it one day. Who knows? But just kind of all of that knowledge and all the resources are sitting off in case I ever decide to jump back into that again.
Okay, that's sick though. Like that you did that because you're a big dungeon. By the way, for anyone who doesn't know what D&D means, it means Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
You're a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I love it. It's another storytelling aspect, right? It's that one's a little bit more collaborative because you're working with a group of people, tell a story. I am the forever DM. I always get stuck in that chair. I have one campaign that I've been running for about 3 years now with some former coworkers from the job that I left to do YouTube full time at. We still meet about once a month with scheduling, and we've been playing through the campaign. They are approaching their end game. They're approaching kind of the end of their campaign after 3 years now, which is super exciting. I am so hyped for that. And I have some other stuff. I've done a few one shots online and done a few on my own Twitch stream. I have one coming up, which is exciting. That I can't say anything else more about other than that's going to happen soon-ish. So I'm very excited. Actually, two potentially, but one for sure. That I'm very excited about, which will be fun. So getting to do a little bit of a different storytelling as well. So excited for that.
That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing everything that happens with the Legundo channel going forward.
It's very exciting. Yeah, that might be second channel stuff because it's very different than Minecraft, but it's
just a brand, I guess.
Still, yeah, it's still fun stuff to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see the dice as well because it does sound like really cool. Do you have any of your? Did you keep any for yourself or did you sell?
Oh yeah, I have a ton of them.
Oh, okay.
So like all the dice that I have for my D&D games are all mine.
Oh, you didn't sell any?
Oh no, I sold them. I sold them as well.
So
all the ones that I'm actively using are all mine. Here, here's the Instagram. You can take a look at it. You're gonna have to scroll down a bit to see the dice. It got very into the woodworking side of things, especially near the end of it, because the resin casting was a little bit harder to do. But there's one. Yeah, if you scroll down a little bit, you can start seeing the dice. But then like all the acrylic and the laser engraving and everything else that I was working on, it was a lot of fun. That one set from maybe about a dozen rows down, the blue and red, that's one of my favorites that I've ever made. And those are for a friend. There's actually one of the last sets that I made, and they're for one of my editors and a good friend of mine. I sent those to him as a birthday present. So
these are some really sick dice. Holy, yeah, is it what the blue with the is it the one with the 20 at the front, the blue and red one?
Yes,
that's
really
cool.
The 8 of them in the little circle there. Yeah, that was fun. I really love doing that, and I still have like a ton of the different hardwoods and all the machines. It's just like I said, no power. Maybe if I get the garage wired up for power one of these days, I'll bring it back. But yeah, right now, not so much.
I remember you. I remember was it in? I think it was in the second application?
The first Rising app. I talked about it in there. Yeah.
You did the little running. I remember the little like running thing. You like I just remember like a clip of you running across the screen with like a sword and stuff.
No, those are the transitions in the second one actually.
Oh, was that the second one? I could have.
Those are the transitions in the second, but in the first one is when I mentioned all of the dice making and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember just a clip of you running across the screen with like with a sword.
The
transitions in that application, by the way, the second one I forgot to mention was so cool, so clean.
That all the credit for those goes to Brock. He was the one to come up with that idea as like the final finishing touch. That was the last thing we added to that video. That was a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've covered most. Obviously, there's still a bit more. I'm not ending the podcast now. I feel like we've covered the most stuff about you, really. I mean, I want to apologize to you and I guess the viewer for if this podcast has come off as a bit messy. I haven't meant it to be.
That is the Legundo brand.
Yeah,
you get a story, but it's messy.
Okay, you know what? It fits the theme. There we go. I can get away with it.
If anybody's been at one of my streams, they know.
Yeah,
you know who you are. You know.
You know. If you're listening to this, you know. I just feel a bit bad because obviously, like, I feel like it's still been a really, really good podcast. I've kind of just gone on my own little waffles and stuff as well, which, like, you know, doesn't tend to happen too much. But this is just
good. It's your show.
Yeah, no, but it's your podcast. You know, it's you. You're the guest. Like, I guess as I mentioned, this is more midweek MC.
Have me on again in 6 months. It'll work.
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
I guess with that then, before we recorded the podcast, you said that between us recording this and this being uploaded, you have something that you're announcing. I'm not sure if you've hinted towards it because you mentioned a few stuff of like the future of yourself. I'm not sure if you've hinted
While
towards
we've been talking, the first little teasing thing has gone out on Twitter on all of our socials, or is in the process of going out on Twitter on all of our socials. Yeah.
So is it an SMP?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, at
Hardcore
this point, by
SMP.
the time that people hear this, it's already been live, and the launch weekend has happened and everything else. But yeah, a bunch of us from Rising have gotten together, and both all of us from the event itself, as well as some of our friends from around the space who weren't in the event, and just a group of really awesome people have gotten together, and we're like, we miss, like I said earlier, we miss having these spaces where people could just be and just make stuff and be themselves.
Just vibe,
And while SMP content has very much leaned more towards kind of these higher produced or just higher budget things, there's a few outliers, obviously, like legacy projects like Hermitcraft, which have been around for forever, right? But yeah, we just wanted to make a space for ourselves to be able to do more stuff together, because like I said, all of the people that I was lucky enough to compete with in Rising, they've been amazing, and we've all kept in touch and become friends, which is wonderful. So yeah, by the time this launches, Fireside SMP will have launched and will be about a week in at this point. So come by for some good cozy vibes as we're all just making some stuff and doing some stuff together. We have an amazing world. I don't know yet because we haven't actually started building, but we have an amazing world and some really fun stuff and some good bits that we've all talked about. And we're going to be all doing videos and streams on that over the next couple months at least. And we'll see where that goes. But I'm very excited for it. It's going to be fun.
It's nice to see you guys kind of taken from MCC Rising too, like just staying in contact, working together to stay in contact kind of thing. It's nice to hear and it's cool to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the SMP goes.
It was great. I have so much extra footage from before the event, or even before, or like the evening of, after everything was over. I think there was a point in time where like me, Nominal, Oppo, and a few others were still just playing Dodgeball until we all got kicked from the practice server for hours on end the night after. It was a lot of fun, and they're a great group of people, and I'm super excited and super lucky to have met all of them and to be able to do more stuff together. I'm super hyped. It's gonna be fun.
It's fair play. It's nice. It's good to hear, and I'm looking for later. I'm looking forward to it, and that's cool. Thank you for the little like sneak peek. I mean, I know it's already been announced, but like it's still cool for the podcast.
You get to know first. You get to know first. There you go.
Get to know. Big ego boost. There we go. Even though
there you go.
Invite, you
the inside scoop, even though you release it after. But
the
still,
inside
you got
MC scoop.
the inside MC scoop. There you go.
Brand new podcast name. I'm rebranding Legundo.
Hey, go for it.
Before we move on to the Twitter questions, then it's a topic that I was kind of saving till last to talk about because it's a bit more of a personal topic, which I don't think we're going to get too much into, but still. So you mentioned earlier that you have 2 children. Yes. Can I ask their ages, or is that too personal?
No, they're 4 and 6.
So they just turned 4 and 6. So you are like obviously on your Twitter bio, and I was going to put it in the Twitter announcement, but I decided not to. You are the internet dad. However, you are an actual in real life dad as well. You have your own children. How is it? I'm assuming you have the support from your wife with content creation. I can't imagine you're hiding it from them. I hope
he doesn't. No, I'm kidding.
So how does that work? Because you upload so consistently. I know like you're here now before you go, and it's like you're consistently uploading. You're consistently doing stuff. How is that kind of, because YouTube is your full job, right? You mentioned earlier that you left your other job and YouTube is now a full-time thing. But how is like the balancing of recording, editing, coming on the podcast now, and then looking after 2 children, spending time with your wife? Like how is that kind of whole balance?
So it is definitely tricky, and like I said at the very beginning, it does come into conflict when people are like, hey, we're going to record this afternoon from 4 to 6 and we're giving you an hour's notice. See you there. Bye. Like that doesn't work. It takes a ton more planning, because my wife works a full-time job, 9 to 5, everything else. My girls obviously go to school, and I do all of the pickups, all of the drop-offs, and everything else along those lines. And both my wife and I agreed from day one we'd be there for every track meet, every soccer game, every play, every whatever that they do. We're going to be there for them, because I unfortunately was not as lucky to have that growing up. So I want to provide more of that for my kids. And that's part of the reason why I like providing that kind of space for people online too, right? It's just personal experience leading to wanting to leave things better than I found it, maybe. But it takes a lot of scheduling and a lot of planning. We live and die by Google Calendar, as far as like when my wife and I will literally and figuratively tag each other out and be like, okay, I got the kids, go. You have work, go. So it takes a lot of trust and a lot of communication. As far as how I'm able to get videos uploaded and edited and worked on so consistently. I'll be completely honest, it's not as consistent as I would like. We're still working on that. My goal for maybe the latter half of this year, I have some big projects I want to do, but my goal for 2024 is every week. I want a new video every week. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but that would very much be the goal. Saturday mornings is just, instead of Saturday morning cartoons, it's Saturday morning Gundo. So that would be exciting. But I have a great team, and I have an amazing group of people that I can rely on. The mods, the people who help develop for my server, they are all amazing. I met them all through the past 2 years. A lot of them were members of the community turned kind of paragons of the community and kind of curators of it through time, which has been great. A couple friends of mine for editing, Sierra and Mudcat, I got to shout both of them out. They are wonderful and super great as far as like, I know I can trust them. I can just upload footage and they have it and they send it back to me for voiceover, and then I can send it to them and I know the video is done. And it's at the point where even some of the final cuts they send me, unless they specifically request me to view something because they're not sure about it, I very rarely even review some of their final cuts because I know that they do good work and I know that they do really great stuff, that they can just put it out there, and I trust them implicitly.
A good
So
relationship
it's
to have, yeah.
yeah, and it is unfortunately not as common as it should be. I mean, most of the people that you see on YouTube who are really, really successful have at least one person that they can count on implicitly and trust 100%, whether that's an editor, somebody to help them to be a review, a second set of eyes, just another creator who is somebody that they trust, kind of be that gut check for everything that they're going to do online. And I'm lucky enough to have a group of people around me that can help me do that. And I manage my time as best I can, get as much as I can done during the time that I have in any given day. And then from about 2:30 to about 4 is going and picking up the girls and then getting them home, getting dinner on the table, everything else. Ms. Legundo will end her day job around 5:30. We all have dinner, get the kids ready for bed, let them play and everything else. And about 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, I'll get tagged in and I come back downstairs and I do my work until maybe about midnight each day. So I'm putting in about 8 hours a day. I just split it between when the girls are at school and when the girls are asleep. So it kind of works out. But it is tricky. I used to post photos with my girls and everything else as they got older. We kind of stopped that. And that's just a decision that we made because now they're getting older. They're a little more aware of things. It is funny though. My daughters 100% know that I'm a YouTuber and I have a hardcore heart tattoo on my arm as well. So they recognize that whenever they see Minecraft stuff as well. But I'll play with my oldest on Bedrock. She has it on her iPad. So I'll connect in on my phone. And when I connect in on my phone, I'm Steve. I'm not my skin. So anytime they see Minecraft stuff in like a Target or anything else like that, my kids will be like, it's you on the box here. Dad, look, it's you. It's your Minecraft. And that is so cool to have that moment with them. Even it's not 100, but for them, it's true. And that's really cool. And that's something that I really love. They know my job. They know everything that I do. And it's very cool to be able to be a creative passion for my kids and show them that creativity can be fulfilling as it is and kind of encouraging them to do more. My 6-year-old already wants to post photos online. And I'm like, you got some grown up to do, girl. You're not ready for that. We need to get you a little bit older before I'm ready for that. I am not ready for that yet. But I already joked she'll be a better influencer than I ever was, and one day she'll be at 1 million. She'll beat me to 1 million subs. I'd be willing to bet. So
okay. Sorry, go on.
I 100% believe that she'll beat me to 1 million subs. There's no way I make it first.
You probably will. I mean, you have a big head start. There's no way you blow this lead. Come on.
I think you underestimate me. No, no.
Wouldn't it be overestimating you? No, if I
sure, yes.
You
underestimate my incompetence.
Yeah, no, yeah, fair enough.
No, but I mean that goes back to what we said at the beginning, right? I try not to be big-headed or anything else like that. Like, I don't care about numbers at the end of the day. As long as I can make enough stuff, do enough things, support my family, do my part, like that's what matters. And that's where my head's at, and that's where my focus has always been. So That's fun. And that's also why I went family friendly in my content. I don't know if we ever talked about that, but I wasn't always.
We mentioned that before the podcast. I said about swearing. You said that you keep it family friendly, but I didn't know you weren't family friendly before.
No, I wasn't. There's even old videos of me, even when I was starting streaming and everything else, when my kids were first born, where I'd be a little bit more loose. Like I would always say, like, you might hear me curse occasionally if something bad happens, but it's kind of like when you curse when you stub your toe. Like that's what I would do occasionally when something bad would happen, but I never said anything, or like I firmly believe as a person that you can say way worse things than like these specific words that we've decided are like the George Carlin 7 dirty words. You could say things that are way worse than any of those, and that's horrible, right? So I just try to keep it PG-13, and I went back and I privated some old stuff on the channel because of now that I am a dad, it's like I'm in dad mode when I'm on camera. So I just try to be cognizant of that. That way my kids can watch my stuff and I can kind of watch that with them, which is always exciting.
Do you know about Legundo? Because that's going to be a question, because like you mentioned earlier, and it's just the way you worded it is like sounded like they knew but didn't know, and it sounded like they knew about Legundo but didn't know you were Legundo, but they do. Okay.
No, they absolutely know. They know Legundo is my other name, is what they know. Like just how they call me dad, right? Like they know my real name, obviously, but they know for me, for them, my name is Dad, and then for these other people online, my name is Legundo, and they know that. And we play on a realm, and like my daughter, she's like, I'm on Legundo's realm, so like she knows. Oh, okay. My oldest explicitly knows. My youngest maybe not as much, but she definitely knows Minecraft. So like they get, it's so cool having that with them. And now as they're getting older and it's more okay, being able to play with them as well. So it's just a lot of fun. We get to make cool stuff.
By the way, really quickly off topic, shout out to Jokana-san, who just tweeted, "Why is everybody posting campfires? What's going on?" I just showed up. I quickly scrolled my For You page to see like campfires, like see if I could see anyone. And
where's that tweet? I need to link me that tweet. I need to just go and just reply with some eyes.
I will send it now. I need
to go be a gremlin.
I just seen New Korea's posted a campfire as well. So there you go. There's a tweet.
Oh, I'm so excited.
But I think it's good, the balance, because obviously, like I said, right now with the whole, I mentioned to you before the podcast, with the whole podcast, like I record it now, I edit myself, I upload myself, I do all the social media management. The only thing that I don't do is graphic designs. I pay someone to do the graphic designs, and I get someone to help me do research sometimes. It isn't normally AJX, but AJX helps me do the research on they knew about the D&D dice, for example, and like the balance is hard. I do well because like for instance now, like I went to work, I woke up at 5 a.m. this morning, I got to work at 7 a.m. I don't actually start till 7:30, but when I open, I like to get there a bit early, so I open on my own. Start at 7:30 a.m., work to 3 p.m., come home, do the podcast. Once we're done this podcast, I'm going to I've finished editing it. I need to upload the midweek MC for this Wednesday, and then I'm going to start editing this podcast, and then it's just repeat, and then I record again on Wednesday, and then like the weekends, if I'm not going out, I spend editing, and if I do go out, I go out, then I come home, and it's like just constant. But I found a good way to balance it. It's just that I'd like to make it hopefully a full-time thing, so I could essentially edit when I have kids, because I want kids, and my girlfriend also wants kids. It's like I can edit it while they're at school, and I can essentially work a day, like I can be there in the morning for them, and then I can edit while they're at school, and then pick them up thing, and it'd be nice to have that kind of balance. But it means that I have to make, or essentially also want to make, content creation a career before that time comes.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, how to make it work is time management and communication, right? Like, God, I'm gonna get sappy. That's also the best advice for a marriage or a relationship or anything else, right? Time management and communication, right? Just talk to people how they want to be spoken to, and have a plan for what you're doing, and try your best to stick with it. I know I say that after we had, as you put in your own words, the most rambling InsideMC podcast in history. So we might not be practicing what we're preaching, but that's how to make it work.
But with podcasts, we don't have to be organized on the podcast. We've organized when the podcast was going to be recorded. We've organized when the podcast is going to be done by. But the podcast itself doesn't have to be organized, you know?
Yeah, no, there's beauty in chaos. There's beauty in chaos. Like I'm all for it. That's why I never build a storage system, and all my community hates me for the chess monsters. There's beauty in chaos.
Yeah,
There's beauty in
exactly.
chaos.
And that's why this podcast is probably going to get millions of views now.
Oh,
100
maybe.
days in a Minecraft podcast. I can already see
You
the
know,
title.
you absolutely should. I mean, you shouldn't, because that's not.
I might
just
just
like
title it
representing, but you
Legundo
totally
100.
can. You totally should.
Legundo.
100 days in the making, because it's been like
Legundo,
3
sorry.
months since we first started talking.
Exactly.
So I think give or take. So you could say 100 days in the making. That probably is true.
I might honestly just have like Legundo dash 100 days in Minecraft podcasts dash, I think it's like 046. I think this is
Got it.
046. There we go. That's the title. That's the title. Or something along those lines. It'll be something to do with 100 days just to be funny. Why not? It matches the chaos of the podcast, right? A chaotic title, chaotic
Yeah, why not?
podcast. It all links up in the end. One more thing before the Twitter questions then, because I am
Sure.
curious. I also kind of just want to talk about it because I got one yesterday. You said you have a tattoo of like hardcore and a heart. Did you say?
A hardcore heart. Yes.
Yeah. So what other tattoos do you have then? Or is that the only one?
That's it. That's the only one. That was the top goal on a subathon that I did back in 2021. We ran for 14 days, and I lost my Series 2 Hardcore World at the end of it. So that was rough.
Oh.
Yeah. That was
So now you
the
have
top
this tattoo
goal.
to remind you, right? Just of like
No, because it's funny, because while I would say that the 100 Days video launched my YouTube channel, I think a more interesting rule is that deaths in a hardcore world launch a Twitch stream, because at the time I was still streaming on Twitch. And after my Series 1 death, I went from like 20 average viewers to about 70. And after my Series 2 death, I went from about 80 or 90 average viewers to about 200. So it's very interesting. And then I stepped back from Twitch because Twitch is awful. And I'm going I'm multi-streaming right now, because don't tell Daddy Bezos, but no one's gotten banned for it yet, and I might as well be the first. So I'm multi-streaming right now because I can, just to, again, for the audience, make it easy for them to be able to find me. But it's, I do think deaths make really good streams blow up. Like, look at myself to a smaller degree, look at Filza and everything that happened with him as well, right after his death, after his Series 2 world. Look at everything that's come from that, and it just goes to show kind of that 20% that you can't control, and then whether or not you can ride that wave and harness that or get crushed by it. That is probably where the difference makers in those who succeed in content creation, to whatever degree you define success, versus those who might not.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, that all stems from a tattoo, by the way.
Yeah.
Have you seen the tattoo I got yesterday by any chance?
I don't think so, because I just got a new computer, because my computer blew up last week, which was very unfortunate. So I have not been on social media. I've been doing nothing but installing programs for 48 hours. Programs and OBS plugins. So that looks awesome.
Yeah, so neither of them are finished yet. The wolf is the one that I got yesterday. The lion I've tried to finish 3 times, but during the entire period of getting that tattoo done and possibly finished, I was really unwell. And obviously, in case you don't know, being ill and getting a tattoo is not the best link up.
Look, the hardcore heart I have is like a quarter of that size, and I was ready to just quit and scream. So I have no idea how you're doing something that big.
I'm getting so many more. I love these because the thing is that, like, the lion and the wolf are like, because the wolf is my right arm, the lion is my left, right? I know I'm not obviously not thinking you're silly. It's just based on just a picture. It can be a bit confusing. But like they're like both facing inwards, like howling and roaring at each other, and it's like it's so cool. I love it so much. I'm getting more as well. I like the big tattoos. I want to get like in the end like sleeves and stuff. It's kind of just which is just ironic to think. Like, it's just funny to think of like me having sleeves as a tattoo and then just making a Minecraft podcast. You know, like, it's sometimes funny to think of. I don't know. But yeah, fair enough. I was just curious about the tattoo. Really, I just thought, just because I got this one yesterday, I was like, I kind of want to ask, but you only have one.
No, it's good. Like I got that. I gave 2 choices, whether or not I did my logo or hardcore heart, and the hardcore heart won.
That's better
universally.
For you, anyways. Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Having your logo tattooed on you is a bit like
It's a little like there. It was partially community ran. Obviously, I had final say because of my body, but that was the two suggestions that kind of won out for everything else, and then the hardcore heart won. And honestly, if the poll had gone the other way, I probably would have made an executive decision and done the heart anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice, and it's having there. And normally when I'm on stream, if I'm wearing shirt sleeves, you can just see it in the corner of the camera, which is kind of cool. So it's nice.
Fair play. With that being said, then we'll move on to the Twitter questions, and then sadly wrap this podcast up. Legundo.
Okay.
So the first one comes from Giano. It's another case of me just mispronouncing a name like crazy.
Giano,
that's the one. And they asked, what was your biggest struggle before your breakthrough on YouTube/Twitch, and how did you overcome it?
I think partially we've talked about this a little bit in the history. Part of it is just endurance, like making content for as long as I have, doing it across multiple different formats, and then being happy with kind of success. Part of it is not comparing myself to other creators, because we're all at different steps in our own journey and everybody is going to do something differently. Part of it is never calling myself a small creator. I probably did, but trying to avoid doing that and just not letting the numbers be your mindset. I also recommend, if you're a streamer, turn your view count off.
Yeah,
you should always have that off when you're streaming, because it doesn't matter how many people are watching. You need to put on the same show, regardless if it's 0 or 100,000, right? Obviously, you'll be able to guess where that number is lying based off of chat activity or something like that. But if anything, that's a better metric of how engaged people are than just a random number being higher, because if people are love to the lurkers. We're here for them as well. But if people are talking and engaging more, that means you're doing something that is obviously more engaging. So part of it, I feel like we talked about throughout the whole podcast, but generally just summing it up is endurance and making content that is authentic to you and what you want to make. Don't just create for a perceived audience. So many just random platitudes that I can put out. Don't create for a perceived audience. Understood that the algorithm is there for the viewer and not for the creator, even though I fall guilty to that as well. And I use the algorithm as a kind of, as every creator does, it's kind of like shorthand for whatever screwy stuff is happening with YouTube that we don't understand in the moment. It is a marathon and not a sprint, and it is 100% a test of endurance to find real long-lasting success online at all.
Thank you. That's nice. That's nice to hear. And that's hopefully a lot of people listen to that and realize that is the best mindset to have.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one then comes from Dusk, and it's a very controversial one. It's what's your opinion on deep slate pyramids?
All right, I'm out. Thank you. It's been fun. Wonderful. I will talk to you later.
He just walked off. He's just walked off. I've never had this on a podcast before where they've just left. Hello? I've never had someone just walk off before. Alright, well, since he's just gone, I've never had anyone just walk off before. I mean, it's still in a voice call, they're just not here. This has been the InsideMC podcast. I guess I'll do their little bit of promotion. Legundo, I'm pretty sure that is just their name everywhere. It's just, I mean, if you go onto Twitch right now and you type Legundo, that is their name on Twitch. If you type it on Twitter, you'll find them on Twitter. Same with YouTube, it's pretty easy. But yeah, this has been the InsideMC podcast, interviewing the amazing Legundo, who has probably returned and just staying here very quietly. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Don't eat too much bread. Pieces.
I would never do that. I was totally gone the whole time.